In today's episode, I celebrate a couple of important milestones and also let you know some ways you can help support the mission and ministry of St. Philip the Deacon. Hello, friends. It's good to be with you as always. Thank you for taking a little time to be with me. Today's episode is a major inflection point in a couple of ways. First, we began these podcasts a little more than a year ago. Why? Because we had suspended all of our in-person activities and were moving purely to digital formats, and we felt like we needed to add this podcast among our digital mix of things to stay in touch with people, to communicate, and so forth. And today's episode is now the 100th episode after we started that, again, more than a year ago. So that's one inflection point. The other is that today's episode is being released or published on Wednesday, right before Maundy Thursday. And Maundy Thursday, this Holy Week, is going to be, we pray, the start of ongoing return to in-person worship. We'll have in-person worship Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday. And then in the weeks following, our prayer is that we can continue to open up and expand, not only in worship, but in small groups and other ways. So it's, again, an inflection point in both of those ways. And as we hit that inflection point, I basically want to say two things. The first broad thing I want to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. And there are so many people I could thank this morning, but minimally I want to thank four groups. I want to thank everyone who's made worship possible virtually and digitally for the last year. That includes our tech team, our pastors, our youth staff, and our musicians. Thanks to each and every one of you for every week bringing a beautiful worship service to everyone who's been participating. Second, I want to say thanks to our staff for being so creative and flexible. Third, I want to thank our executive team and our council for being such wonderful conversation partners and leaders within this congregation as we have navigated a difficult and disrupted year. And finally, I want to say a strong word of thanks to all of our members, all of our supporters. You have been so enthusiastic and generous and patient over the last year, and it's because of you that we've been able to continue our mission and ministry so robustly and so strongly during a difficult year. So to each and every one of you, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I mentioned that we're at a major inflection point as we return back to in-person, but that doesn't mean that we're returning back to normal. I'm not even sure I know what normal means anymore, and it's maybe appropriate that we're doing this episode right before Easter. I will remind you that when Jesus was raised, it was not a resuscitation. In other words, it wasn't Jesus as he was before he was put to death. It was a resurrection, which meant that he was changed. He was transformed, so much so that the disciples didn't even recognize him in the post-resurrection appearances. And I believe that as we enter this new normal, post-COVID, God is inviting us, as it is said in Isaiah 43, to do a new thing. And part of what that new thing is going to look like is ongoing in-person activities, as we have always done, and expanding our digital campus, and this podcast is part of that digital campus, part of the ways we're reaching people virtually. And so I want to invite you to consider doing four things to support the mission and ministry of St. Philip the Deacon through this podcast specifically. They're very easy, they're very simple, they won't take a lot of time, but by doing them, you will continue to expand our base and continue to support the mission and ministry of this congregation. So the first is to subscribe to this channel on YouTube. You can do that. We'll have instructions or a link. You subscribe, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. The second is to like individual episodes if you, in fact, like them, but that's helpful to let other people know that, oh, this is something worth watching. The third is to comment on them. That, again, is helpful. It shares what we're doing here, and importantly, it helps provide a feedback loop that will help me know what you'd like to hear more about in the future and create, again, more of a conversation. And the fourth would be to share these things. And again, that's very easy to do. It's one of the real beauties of social media is you can share things easily, and that's become a really important way for places like this to conduct our mission, to reach out, to evangelize, to spread the message of God's love to people who maybe need to hear it. Again, I'm so honored and humbled to be reaching this milestone with all of you. I am excited about Holy Week. I'm excited to see some of you at Easter live and in flesh. And I want to say again, thank you for getting us through this past year. And I look forward with you to seeing where God will move us in the future. In the meantime, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.